Ezúttal a rajongóink támogatásával az oldalunkon sikerülni fog.
In Misfits bin ich mir sicher, kann ich dies tun.
Now he's going in for Ignite.
Wir haben im letzten Split bewiesen, dass wir zu den Besten gehören. Det var ett tag sedan vi var kungarna av Europa. Vi måste visa hur starka vi är.
It's clean, it's confident to lock in third place here in the LCS and take the first step on their path to World.
And welcome to the final series of the Spring Split. The host gets told where he stands. Bizachachi gets another. Ushering in the Super Minions. Here come the Unicorns with their backs against the wall. With no more room for error. We get their first win in the Spring Final.
Csoport elsők lettünk, és bejutottunk a döntőbe. Nagyon közel volt.
Diesen Split werden wir gewinnen.
Mert ez a mi szezonunk.
G2 har vunnit tillräckligt mycket. Det är dags för oss att visa vad vi går för.
What a hell of a fight to close it out. It's all Nexus. GG boys, 2-1.
Good afternoon and welcome to the start of the EU LCS Summer Split. Today, 4 of the top teams from Spring, they start their fight for glory on the stage in Berlin and beyond, because this is it. We are in the Summer Split. That means we are looking towards the World Championship, and which of our teams will be able to make it there? That is the big question. Will it be Splice? They made it last year, but they have a big task ahead of them. And H2K, they had a fantastic run, but they have to go through a very good Summer Split to make it, as Odoamne is playing around a bit with the decor, looking how everything looks. Hello everyone, rather. I'm EpicSkillshot, kicking off the Summer Split alongside Andrew Vedius Day and James Stress O'Leary.
And we don't suck anymore. We as a region have proved to the world that we are great once more, and Europe is awesome.
Anymore. 2 years back-to-back semi-finals at Worlds.
Yeah, but we had a rough year, and now we're back. We're great. Welcome, everyone. It's the Summer Split.
Super overblown, but I like it. A lot has changed since we last were here in the LCS studio. Teams has been up to a lot, and especially, as you mentioned, G2, they traveled to Brazil to play at MSI. A rough start, and they had a mission there. They wanted to show everyone that they were the real deal, and they showed it in the end.
I think this is a G2 that the entirety of Europe can be proud of. Taking a competitive series against 3-time world champions SKT, even winning a game, is the kind of performance that we haven't seen out of G2 in such a long time.
No, and looking at some of the individuals that really stepped up at that tournament, Perks, he brought it to Faker. He showed the world that he can match with some of the best, and Trick, while he struggled in the group stages, he was able to perform out of his mind when it came to the bracket stages. So G2, they really stepped up when it counted.
And also just the mental aspect of turning that kind of fan favoritism in their favor, maybe for the first time. And it also made all the other teams think. We saw a couple of teams going for a Korean boot camp, couple of teams making some crucial individual changes to the lineups, because the heat is on. This is it. They all want to make it to Worlds.
Well, with the performances of G2, everyone now realizes we have to play against one of the best teams in the world. We have to step up our game. And it has now come to a point where teams have to step up, coming right into the start of the split. And it feels like with the Korean boot camps, with the preparations that we've been hearing about the teams doing, I think this is going to be a highly competitive split right off the get-go.
And I like that it's not even just behind the scenes. When you look at player changes, we only had 3 roster changes from the teams that stayed from spring to summer. And that's one of the lowest we've really ever had. You can see the 3 players going to their new teams on the screen there, but that's a lot less movement between the old teams. So maybe a team like H2K will look a lot more consistent with this additional experience with another split with their same lineup.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of teams opting for that one-year plan, as we heard for the Misfits, but a lot of teams are looking at it that way. And on top of that, the teams will be playing on patch 7.10, which brings a lot of changes to the Rift, obviously, well, mainly in that top side of the of Summoner's Rift. So what are we excited about, and how excited are you?
We're very excited for more tanks. No, that's not the only change that we have on the top side. Sejuani, Zach, and Marika, they've all had some big changes coming into the new split. Zach and Sejuani in particular, we've already seen come out over in the LCK, but it just adds more to the diversity of top lane right now, with new itemization coming out, with preferential picks being really the flavor of the month. It adds so much variation that I think this will be one of the most versatile top lane metas that we've seen for a very long time.
Other changes as well, not just champions, items, the Rift itself in top lane. If you haven't had a chance to play against the new Rift Herald, no longer does she give you a 20-minute buff that is about side lane 1v1ing. This time, Rift Herald, she is a sieging machine. You get an item, spawns her into the lane, and she'll charge down a tower. And now this might open up the Rift a lot earlier than we've seen in patches gone by. A lot of room for extra strategic play. We're looking at what teams are going to be able to utilize Rift Herald best.
Super interesting. On top of that, Xayah and Rakan, they are also enabled, so I hope we'll be seeing that. We saw the duo in action from Jinner a little while ago. And tell me about Yasuo. Are we going to see him?
Yasuo, of course. I'm really excited. We have to see him soon, though, because changes have come on 7-11. But Perks promised us that he would play it, and if he wants to get revenge against Roccat, maybe that's the champion to do it with.
Do you want to put on a wig and
I do not want to put on the wig once more.
Okay. All right. Anyway, of course, there are also a lot of other changes in the mid-season patches. So for the full breakdown, go ahead and check out leagueoflegends.com and read up on that. And also last week, our teams here, they decided their group opponents, and these are the results are very similar to what we saw in the spring split. The only difference is that the Unicorns of Love and G2 now got first pick.
We heard Dracos a little bit before the show breaking down the draft. Of course, Unicorns now the changing Group B. They had the first pick. G2 Unicorns were the captains of the groups. G2 saying, hey, we want to avoid H2K for the majority of the regular split. Unicorns saying, okay, have Fnatic. These two teams, everybody's expecting good things out of. And we filtered down in a snake draft for the rest of the group draw.
And it's interesting how the priority has shifted, right? Because in the spring, we saw a lot more prioritization on getting UOL out and also getting out Misfits, given the initial rosters that we saw. But based on the performance of Fnatic, especially finishing 3rd place during the regular, or overall throughout the spring split, we demonstrate that, you know what, we don't want him in our groups, G2, you guys can have him over in Group A.
Yep, we'll see how that plays out, because we also have 2 new teams. First up, the German organization Mysterious Monkeys, and then the very storied Ninjas in Pajamas are back as well. So they're slotting in where Giants and Origin were, respectively. How do we think this will influence kind of the competitiveness of each group and the league overall?
I think that this is actually very good in terms of the competitiveness, because I think that these 2 teams are a step up from what we had from Giants and Origin. And for those that don't know, Mysterious Monkeys, they did acquire the Misfits Academy roster. Still pretty much the same, except for the jungler who they brought in with Llama Bear. Whereas NIP, they have a brand new roster, and the core player that we're looking at is up in the top lane.
There is a really exciting player in the top lane for NIP. Prophet, of course, former SKT player. That is a lineage to live up to. So if he's given the right kind of basis with NIP's roster, maybe that's a player we can look to be a real standout. But there are a lot of questions for both new rosters, whether they can live up to some of the hype, be another challenger team that goes right to the top of a group. So many questions. We're going to find out when they play on Saturday. That's when they take to the Rift for the first time.
That we will. Those new teams, they will be playing a bit later in the week. But first up, our very first match will be H2K taking on Splice, followed by a rematch of the 3rd place decider of Spring Fnatic versus Misfits.
And then a hype matchup to begin tomorrow. Roccat versus G2. G2 take on the only team to hand them a series loss in over a year. And this is a weakened G2. Remember, Expect and Trick are not playing. They were granted time to go visit their families. So we'll have to see how G2 contend with 3 out of their 5 core players.
All right. Well, we're going to go over to our caster soon. Anything else you want to add? Anything you need to get out there before we really get started?
Get hyped! It's going to be a great summer split with some great teams.
All right, cool. Well, there we go. We are just moments away from our first game, so let's send it over to our casters and kick off the EU LCS Summer Split.